The United States, often called a melting pot or a nation of immigrants, has a long and complex history intertwined with immigration. From the first European settlers to present-day newcomers, immigration has profoundly shaped the nation's demographics, culture, economy, and identity. This essay explores the ebb and flow of US immigration, highlighting key eras, legislation, and the ongoing interplay of economic needs, geopolitical events, and societal attitudes. While the early years saw primarily European settlers seeking new opportunities, later waves brought people from Asia, Latin America, Africa, and other parts of the world. This constant influx of people and cultures has contributed to the nation's vibrant diversity, but also sparked debates about national identity, economic competition, and social integration. As we delve into the different eras of US immigration, we will witness the evolving role of legislation, the constant tension between welcoming newcomers and restricting immigration, and the enduring impact of immigrants on the nation's social fabric. Through this journey, we can gain valuable insights into the ongoing debates surrounding immigration and its significance in shaping the American narrative. The earliest chapters of US immigration were marked by both opportunity and exclusion. While the nation's founding documents espoused ideals of liberty and equality, these principles did not initially extend to all. The first wave of immigrants consisted mainly of Europeans, primarily from England, seeking religious freedom and economic prosperity in the New World. The 1790 Naturalization Act, one of the first pieces of legislation concerning immigration, reflected the prevailing sentiment of the time. It granted citizenship exclusively to free white persons of good moral character who had resided in the US for a specific period. Despite the limitations imposed by early legislation, the late 18th and early 19th centuries witnessed a steady influx of immigrants, primarily from Northern and Western Europe. These immigrants, driven by factors like famine, political unrest, and economic hardship in their home countries, played a crucial role in shaping the newly formed nation. They provided much-needed labour for the expanding agricultural and industrial sectors and contributed to the nation's cultural and demographic growth. However, the arrival of these newcomers also sparked anxieties among some segments of American society. Concerns about job competition, religious differences, and the preservation of Anglo-Saxon culture began to emerge, laying the groundwork for future nativist movements and restrictive immigration policies. The 19th century witnessed a dramatic surge in immigration, transforming the demographic landscape of the United States. This period saw a shift in the origins of immigrants, with a significant influx from Southern and Eastern Europe, including Italians, Poles, Russians, and Jews. These newcomers were often fleeing poverty, religious persecution, and political upheaval in their home countries, seeking a better life in America. This wave of immigration coincided with the Industrial Revolution, and many immigrants found work in the nation's burgeoning factories, mines, and railroads. Their labor was instrumental in fueling the rapid industrial growth of the United States, contributing significantly to the nation's economic expansion. However, this period also saw a rise in anti-immigrant sentiment. The arrival of large numbers of Catholic and Jewish immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe sparked fear and resentment among some native-born Americans. The late 19th century also saw the passage of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, barring Chinese laborers from entering the United States. The 19th century, therefore, witnessed both the immense contributions of immigrants and the emergence of exclusionary policies that would shape US immigration for decades to come. The early 20th century marked a turning point in US immigration history, characterized by stricter control and regulation. The burgeoning industrial economy created a demand for cheap labor, attracting millions of immigrants. Concerns about economic competition and national security led to a more restrictive approach. Ellis Island, the primary immigration processing center, opened in 1892. Millions passed through its doors, enduring inspections and medical examinations. The Immigration Act of 1917 introduced literacy tests and increased taxes on immigrants. The Immigration Act of 1924 established a national origins quota system favouring Northern and Western Europeans. This act reflected nativist sentiment, prioritising those similar to the Anglo-Saxon majority. Despite stricter controls, the need for labour, particularly in agriculture, persisted. The Bracero program allowed Mexican labourers temporary entry to work on farms and railroads. Section 5. A New Era, Immigration Reform and its Aftermath. The landscape of US immigration underwent a significant transformation in the latter half of the 20th century. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, a landmark piece of legislation, abolished the discriminatory national origins quota system that had been in place for decades. This act aimed to eliminate racial and national bias in immigration policy, prioritizing family reunification and skilled labor over country of origin. The 1965 Act ushered in a new era of immigration, leading to a surge in newcomers from Latin America, Asia and Africa. The United States became an increasingly diverse nation, with immigration contributing to the growth of vibrant multicultural communities across the country. The Act also established preferences for refugees fleeing persecution, reflecting a growing awareness of the United States' role in providing humanitarian relief. However, the 1965 Act also had unintended consequences. By prioritizing family reunification, it led to a significant increase in chain migration, with new immigrants sponsoring family members, leading to higher than expected immigration levels. Additionally, the Act failed to adequately address the issue of undocumented immigration, which continued to rise due to ongoing economic disparities and political instability in many sending countries. As the United States entered the 21st century, immigration remained a complex and often contentious issue. The events of September 11, 2001 had a profound impact on immigration policy, leading to heightened security measures and a focus on national security concerns. The creation of the Department of Homeland Security and the implementation of stricter border controls reflected this shift in priorities. The early 21st century also witnessed a resurgence of debates about undocumented immigration. The failure to pass comprehensive immigration reform left millions of undocumented immigrants in legal limbo, contributing to a sense of urgency and frustration. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, introduced in 2012, provided temporary protection from deportation and work permits to eligible undocumented individuals brought to the United States as children. However, the DACA program faced legal challenges and remained a temporary solution, leaving the fate of its recipients uncertain. The COVID-19 pandemic has further complicated the situation, impacting immigration flows, visa processing, and border enforcement. Throughout its history, immigration has been a driving force behind the economic growth and prosperity of the United States. Immigrants have consistently contributed to the labor force, filling essential roles in various sectors from agriculture and manufacturing to technology and healthcare. Their entrepreneurial spirit and willingness to take risks have also led to the creation of countless businesses, generating jobs and boosting the economy. Immigrants are overrepresented among entrepreneurs and inventors, contributing significantly to innovation and technological advancement. They are more likely to start businesses than native-born Americans, creating jobs not only for themselves but also for others. Their diverse skills, perspectives and networks bring new ideas and approaches to the marketplace, fostering creativity and economic dynamism. Moreover, immigrants contribute significantly to the tax base, paying billions of dollars in federal, state and local taxes annually. Their consumption of goods and services also stimulates the economy, supporting businesses and creating demand. Studies have consistently shown that immigration has a net positive impact on the US economy, boosting overall GDP and raising wages for all workers. While immigration has undoubtedly enriched the United States, it has also been accompanied by a darker side: xenophobia and discrimination. Throughout history, newcomers have often been met with suspicion, prejudice and hostility, fueled by fears about economic competition, cultural change and national security. These fears have manifested in discriminatory policies, social exclusion, and even violence against immigrants. From the early days of the Republic, nativist movements have sought to restrict immigration and preserve the perceived cultural dominance of the existing population. Even after the dismantling of explicitly discriminatory immigration policies, xenophobia and discrimination have persisted in various forms, from racial profiling and hate crimes to workplace exploitation and housing discrimination. Addressing xenophobia and discrimination requires a multifaceted approach, including education, intergroup dialogue, and legal protections. The history of US immigration is a testament to the nation's evolving identity, its economic dynamism, and its ongoing struggle with issues of inclusion and exclusion. From the arrival of the first European settlers to the diverse waves of newcomers in the 20th and 21st centuries, immigration has indelibly shaped the American experience. It has contributed to the nation's cultural vibrancy, its economic prosperity, and its position as a global leader. The story of US immigration is not a simple narrative of progress or decline, but rather a complex tapestry woven with threads of hope, struggle, resilience, and adaptation. It is a story of individuals and families seeking a better life, contributing their talents and labor to build a nation. It is also a story of prejudice, discrimination, and the ongoing struggle for equality and belonging. As the United States moves forward, it faces critical choices about its future approach to immigration. By learning from the lessons of the past, engaging in honest and respectful dialogue, and embracing the values of diversity and inclusion, the United States can continue to evolve as a nation of immigrants, drawing strength from its rich and complex heritage.